I mean, it really boils down to if you really want to do it. How is it that you want to spend your life, and look back on, and I made my decisions and my choices, and I have absolutely no regrets.
Welcome to the Passages from the Heart podcast, a podcast featuring real people sharing real stories about adventure out on the water. I'm your host, Shell Hart. Ahoy, sailors and other water enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of the Passages from the Heart podcast. I'm super stoked to be back here in my little studio giving you an update, and we're going to have a great show with Steve Cormack, a shipwright who happens to hail from British Columbia, and he's got some wonderful stories to share with us about his boat building experience over the past 40 years. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to give y'all a quick little update because I have not been on the airwaves for some time. And yeah, I, within the last 8 days, just sold 2 of my sailboats. I sold my 2008 Compact Legacy, and I sold my 2013 Compact 23 Mark IV. So if you have been hanging out with me the past, 2.5 years or so, you may recall I had plans to become a compact dealer, which is why I had so many boats. I was going to use them as demos, and unfortunately, those plans never fully materialized due to Compact closing its doors after 51 plus years. So yes, it seemed to make sense to me that it was a good idea, despite my best efforts to care for all of the boats. That would be 3. You get in what you put out. If you take care of the boat takes care of you. I fully believe that. But in all honesty and full disclosure, I felt pretty spread thin. And as much as I enjoy boat projects, it does take up time. And if you're working on 3 different boats, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time for using the boats, taking them sailing, in other words. And so it got to be a little bit of I don't know. I just felt a bit exhausted. Let's just put it that way. So again, it made sense, I think, to find new stewards, new captains for some of the boats. And that's what I set out to do. I guess it was back in March or so when I listed both boats for sale on the Compact Yacht Owners Forum. That's cpyoa.com. And I hit the jackpot because I got 2 great people who reached out to me about one person for each boat. And you just know, for lack of a better way of saying it, when you have this chemistry, this connection, you just know things are going to probably proceed in the direction you're hoping things will go. And yeah, over the course of, 2 or 3 weeks, we had lots of questions and answers, lots of videos and pictures and information exchange. And, I just, as if I could have been a compact dealer, my goal would have been to help people find the boat of their dreams, where compacts were concerned, because I think they're incredible boats. They offer so much. And so I kind of took this as an opportunity to really get to know each buyer as best as I could, without being intrusive, of course. But I wanted to make sure that they were fully aware of what each boat had to offer and matching that with what they were hoping to get out of it, if you will. So I feel like we really did a good job of sort of ironing all those details. And then I came away from both situations feeling extremely happy that these boats are going to be in capable, loving hands, and more importantly, that they're going to be used for what they're meant to do and enjoyed. So that's really what it's all about. So yeah, so there's that news. In other news, I'm going to be getting my only sailboat. It feels really good to say that now, actually. I have a 2024 Compact Legacy. I'm not doing the slip thing like I did in the past with my with Sunflower, aka Sunny, my first Compact Legacy, and also with Charm, the Compact 23. She was slip in a slip as well. So I've decided that I want to try something different because it's not inexpensive to keep a boat at a marina in a slip, right? And I just, want to try this trailer sailing thing and explore some different lakes like I had in mind to do with my 2008 Legacy. That was part of my plan with that. That's sort of what's on the horizon, guys. I hope that this finds you all doing super great. And I'd love to hear about where you all are with your boats, whether it be a kayak or a sailboat or whatever. Yeah, get in touch with me. Let me know how you're doing and what's shaking. And yeah, let's get on to the show. Okay. So
Okay.
Steve, welcome to the Passages from the Heart podcast. I'm really excited to have a chat with you today. I've not yet had someone that has your skill sets and expertise on the show yet, and this is something that I've always been very curious about. I recently sort of developed a longing to get a dinghy sailor, and I've noticed that there are some kits out there, and I'm not saying that's how you do yours, but for me, I was thinking it was actually the Scamp. I don't know if you're familiar with that Gig Harbor Boat Works little
Oh, yes.
12-footer.
Yes, of course.
Um, uh, if we could sort of dive into, first of all, how long have you been building boats?
Yeah, sure. Maybe before we get started, I'd just like to say thank you for having me as your guest. And I want to point out that I'm strictly an amateur builder. I've never built professionally. So my contributions are probably most directed to the amateurs in the crowd. So, okay.
Well, that sounds great.
Yes. I've been doing this boat building as a hobby for about 40 years, which is a long time when I think about it. Uh,
Wow. Yeah. So for 40 years you've been doing this. That's quite an I think it's funny that you call yourself an amateur then, but I guess if that means nobody's paid you to build a boat, is that what kind of separates a professional from an amateur? I'm curious.
that's right. Yeah, that's how I would categorize it. I've done these for myself. I've been in the fortunate position to have had the time and resources to do it as a pretty sizable hobby, I'd say. So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, how about what are the kinds of, I mean, I know that you've done some the sailing canoe because I followed your journey with Susan Conrad
yes.
on Instagram on Susan's page, where you guys were up in, boy, I want to say, was it Lake Huron where you started that journey? And
That's that,
um, I don't remember the group of islands, but yeah.
yeah, that's correct. Yes. And that was a sort of a two-part cruise we did. We started midway down Georgian Bay in a town called Perry Sound and sailed 60 miles south to the entranceway of the Trent Severn Waterway. And then we went into the Trent Severn. Susan joined me for about half of that. It's about 240 miles in length. And then, but I did complete it on my own. So that the whole trip took about 3 weeks for us.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's the only boat that I've seen that you've built. I mean, not in person, obviously,
Right.
but it sounds to me that you've built all different kinds of boats because I know you're in the process of building the kayak for Susan for an upcoming journey. But so, what are some of the other kinds of boats aside from the canoes and kayaks?
I have made a list for you, Shell. This is not a complete list, but gives you an idea. Uh,
Okay.
I'll just so the range of boats, I would say from a 10-foot little, it's called a wee lassie canoe. And my largest boat that I ever built was a 32-foot mahogany cruiser.
Oh
Um,
my.
yeah, and so the boats in between that, I've got here a 21-foot runabout, a 22-foot sailboat, quite a large one, 6,000 pounds, gives you an
Oh
idea.
gosh. Wow.
A 17-foot trailer sailor, a 15-foot, an 1881 Peapod design, um, something called a Lincolnville salmon wherry. It's like a dory. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Four kayaks, three sailing canoes, and I threw in a flat bottom skiff. And so that's not inclusive, but it gives you an idea.
So I have come across other boat builders who do sort of, or they'll do it on Facebook, I suppose, or other social media platforms. Just out of curiosity, do you do something like that too, where people could follow along as you build a boat?
To be honest, no, I don't. I don't. I barely have the time to build them, let alone document them.
Yeah.
I ask for
Yeah.
permission from my family members to be away from them for that, and I don't want to push it, you know. So, but what I do
Yeah.
is, or what I have done, is the other side of it. Of course, now it's built and you're out there enjoying it, and so that's where I have captured some of the fun times, which is the positive side of building these things, is you get to enjoy that, the times with your family and friends that you wouldn't, for me anyways, wouldn't otherwise be able to enjoy. So
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I've thought about with the time commitment. And I will just tell you that when I've been researching this sort of thing, I can't tell you how many times I come across people saying, I started it, but I never finished it. Or you'll see all sorts of ads for boats for sale. You know, here's a project I started, but wasn't able to finish. You know,
yes.
did that ever happen to you with any boat at all? I mean, that you started and you just were like, okay, either this is, I don't have the time for this one, or I need to move it along, or every single boat you set out to build, did you complete it?
I would say yes.
Mhm.
I would also say that there have been times when I've set them aside. For example, these two kayaks, I started them last winter and set them aside while I built the sailing canoe that we used. Um, Set them both on a shelf for, pretty close to a year, and then, but have now
Yeah.
finished them off. But no, no, anyone that I set out to build, I did do, and now I have built a couple that I haven't launched. So
Yeah.
just on account of some things that happened, some life things have happened, and
Yeah.
I will get around to that. But no, I would say no, I haven't abandoned a project.
I wanted to just sort of give our listeners an idea of what it was like to build the very first boat you
Mhm.
ever built. How, for example, how did you decide on the specific boat that you wanted to build? Is it one that you built from a kit or plans, or is it something you designed on your own?
I'm gonna go with option D with that one.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
D is I found an old boat, a nice 24-foot sailboat, a beautiful sailboat, a wood, and I basically restored that. Um,
Uh-huh.
I restored it. It was a traditional plank on frame boat, and I chose to restore that using the modern epoxies. This is going back to 40 years ago. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say that's my first sizable project. Um, and I've restored that in a fellow's barn. I can't remember how I came across this fellow, but he said, I've got a large barn. And I said, that's great. I've got all the space in the world to
Yeah.
set everything out. And And so that was my very first foray into boat building, boat restoration work. I think that that's the only
Mm-hmm.
one that I did restore. All the rest of them I did build. But getting back to your,
Okay.
which one did I first build on my own? Probably would have been just a small little strip plank canoe. So start out something simple. Um, and to be honest with you, I don't recall very much of it.
Yeah.
And I might not even be right that that was my first. It might have been a small kayak, but it was a very small project for sure.
For the work that you're doing, could you describe some of the tools? I mean, I'm thinking hammer, nails, saw. I mean, when you're working with lumber, some certain, tools definitely come to my mind. But what are, like, if I wanted to say build this little scamp, and I probably, I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do it just totally starting from scratch and following plans or doing a kit, but I'm talking, let's say I just do it from scratch. I don't have a kit where they send me all the parts ahead of time. What sort of tools am I looking at here? What am I looking at in as far as how much money, just as a sort of an estimate? What am I investing in here aside from my time and all that? But tool wise, what do I need to do something like this?
I have three answers to that question. I because you let me know what the question was, and I thought about it. Myself
Yeah.
personally, I've got uh, easily $50,000 in tools without thinking about it at all. So that's my first question, or my first answer. Secondly, every boat builder, I think, gets asked, what's your favorite tool? And I would have to go
Hmm.
along with most boat builders when they say their bandsaw. If I could only have one
Okay.
tool, it would be my bandsaw. But I would further add, it's nothing at all probably to drop a couple $1,000s on tools. These days, you can get some pretty good deals. And I would also point out that cordless, I use a lot of cordless when I can. And now you can go to a building store and buy kits that include four, five, six tools in a kit, and three or four batteries and five or six tools, and that gets you going. That's different saws and uh, sanders and those sorts of things. It's very hard to say. You need a range of a mixture of hand tools and power tools. Um,
Hmm.
it's really hard to say exactly what you need. So
So if someone's never done something like this before,
yes.
probably better to start small. Is that probably good advice to somebody
Oh,
who's new into this and start small?
oh yes, yes, of course.
What are some things that you would say, like, should someone, I feel silly saying practice using these tools before they start doing this. Um, I mean, maybe should somebody try building a chair first or a little table before they get involved? Because to me, it just seems like I almost feel like if you want to build a boat, you have to have a fairly decent understanding of how all these tools, how you use them, how best to use them.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, and I just wrote something down that triggered something that I wanted to add. So these $50,000, say, give or take, that I've got invested in all these different tools, they all have different personalities, and they'll all bite me on certain ways if I put something in the wrong way or twist it. Or so I
Right.
know all of my tools. I'm familiar with them all. I know when one is going to kick back if I do it a certain way, or feed it improperly in a certain way. I know exactly what it's going to do. So um, which brings me to my second point, that safety in my shop is, and I'm the only one in my shop, it's the
Hmm.
number one thing that I think about. And there's many times when I've gone to cut something and I've said, nah, 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 this isn't going to work. This is going to end up bad. Um, and or I've equipped myself with, three layers of face shields, in case it does go back. Um,
Right.
so what? So how do you get that that experience? And I would point any new person to say, for example, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Wooden Boat magazine, the Wooden Boat School on the East Coast.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people come from all over to attend these workshops, anywhere from several days to a week-long workshops, and that's a great way uh, to get the assistance that a person who's uncomfortable with tools. I mean, you don't want to leave from this project, with any, with any fewer digits than you started with, right? Um,
Right.
so I was a little bit fortunate. I was around people that could help me operate table saws when I was, growing up in that. So, and shop. I
Right.
went to wood shop in all through high school and junior high. So I had exposure to these pieces of equipment. So going in, uh, uh,
Yeah.
I
That
don't
that's
know.
what
I
I'm
don't know what
saying.
else to say other than they all have these unique two personalities, and I know exactly what they don't like, and I've gotten to know all my tools, and I'm fortunate to say that I still have all 10 digits after 40 years. So,
I think I would definitely benefit from a guided way rather than just starting cold turkey out on my own. And everybody always says, "Oh, you can just YouTube everything. Just YouTube it." I mean, what do you think about that? Because I feel like as a critical thinker, I'm a little always skeptical about what I see online. How do you know if you know nothing about something, how do you know what you're watching is the right way that of doing it?
ah, my thoughts on that would be to read the comments because I think the comment sections will tell you how people feel about the video.
Right,
That would be my comment there. Um, I have the knowledge to be able to decipher whether something you know is how I would do it because there's
right.
usually more than one way to do it. Um, and and
Sure.
and something like that just might trigger some other ideas. Um,
Right,
but I just want to finish off going back to say take someone like yourself that's doesn't have a lot of experience doing this and working with tools. I just want to say that going to like something like the Wooden Boat School is more than just learning how to use the tools and to do that. I mean, you're meeting like-minded people, and you're forming these relationships and building a pool of resources, people that you can phone up or contact and ask them questions. So there's a lot more than just learning how to operate the tools and how to cut things and shape things that you're
right.
getting out of it. So there's more benefits, I think, than they list on their curriculum.
Yeah, so I think you're right. That would make sense, not just from the respect of how do I use this particular tool or how do I lay this plank or whatever. It would be meeting the other people who are going through that with you. There's a bonding, I would think that would sort of develop. Yeah, that's really a good point.
I, if I
So
one
go
thing
ahead.
that I did jot down in my notes was it's not just about how do I do this and what do I do here. You have to sort of remember that a project of any size, maybe not a canoe, but you get into some of these bigger projects, and it starts to take a mental toll. And I don't think people realize that. And I've built enough boats that I know to expect it. And I know, and it comes at towards the end. You get, when you're halfway through a project, you're halfway through. But as you approach the end, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, sometimes that tunnel goes dark, and you just have to power through it.
Yeah,
So if I could add anything to the conversation, it would be to expect that somewhere towards the end of it, um, there are these setbacks, and maybe getting back to your first point about people abandoning projects, you know,
Right.
not getting very close to the end, and just it's the project has taken its mental toll. It's financially, you've got the money tied up that you're not getting any gain out of, any benefit out of. More and more people, friends are saying, "Where are you? Haven't seen you forever." And you know, heaven forbid that you've not partaken in other, say, a birthday, one of your kids' birthday you've forgotten about or something. So it does, it does
Right.
take its toll mentally. And like I said, I've built enough boats that I'm aware of it, and I can tell when it's, I can cope with it. I take a break usually. Um, but I do want to point out that there's that, and again, not so much in the professionals. It's a job for them, I think, but for the amateur, where you
Right.
are, taking time out of other things that, especially if you've got a family, and you're promising that down the road that there's going to be this payback, and they're sitting there looking at their clock saying, well, when's this payback coming, because we don't see you anymore. So
Exactly.
yeah, this is
Go
where
ahead.
these forums and these groups might be beneficial too, because that's probably an aspect that they talk about, and prop each other
Yeah.
up.
To kind of tailor end or tail end on to that, what you're describing to me as far as building boats, it sounds like, as an amateur at least, because I'm assuming like the people at Gig Harbor Boat Works, they have a bunch of people probably working together. But for you, it must be a very solitary sort of endeavor.
You're absolutely right. I've spent countless hours, Friday nights, especially, I think, are hard, and Saturdays. And my shop happens to be right close to a pretty major road. And here's people going by on their motorcycles, and they're towing their boats and all their toys, and I'm in my shop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm in my shop. I'm away from my family, and so yeah. Uh, but you know, I have had the benefit of having many hours with my family, sailing on these lovely little boats and vessels, that I otherwise wouldn't have. So it just becomes a priority. Is it a priority with me? Yes, it is. Um, and I would like to add that, you know, at 40 years and umpteen boats, I've got enough of it. I've done it. I've got it out of my system now. I'm
Yeah.
very happy. I'm very pleased. Would I do things differently? No, no, I don't think I would. When I can, and I've got pictures of my small son, when he was 8 or 9 years old, putting plugs into the boat. So
Right.
I did try and incorporate my family, and they don't use the tools in that, but there's other
Right.
little things, painting and whatnot, where we've
Yeah. To
have had some
Mhm.
family time, which is a big part of it.
Since you've built so many boats, I'm wondering, is there a sort of an intrinsic motivation, if you will, that after you build one, you think to yourself, you know what? I can even do better than that. And that's what makes you want to build another one? Or is it just purely I mean, what exactly is the sort of drive behind wanting to build the boats, do you think? Where does that come from?
Sure. I've written down three words here. Uh, where do I start? Um, I'll start with this one, experience. So they're all different, and they all give you different experiences. I've got a lovely little Rangeley rowboat that is just beautiful to row. It tracks wonderfully. It's a nice rowing boat. It's a pulling boat, they're called. So they'll give you different experiences. I've got a pack canoe that, if you're just tripping where there's small lakes and you're going from lake to lake to lake, it's a 10 or 12 maybe 15-pound pack canoe. So it's they're serving different purposes. Sailboats, power boats, canoes, kayaks. Uh, I would also say yes. The 32-foot mahogany boat that I built was it came out of two. The impetus for that came out of two things. One was a need for a summer cottage. Our land prices have gone very, very high here, and so my wife and I were looking for something that we could live on and enjoy the full summer on. And so we decided we had the skills, we had the place, and so we decided to build this boat that we could spend several months on at a time. And I would have to add that was the culmination of all of these years of experience, of building experience, and I call it my Mount Everest. Can I do it? It's a challenge for me. Have I got what it takes? And I should factor into that you have to realize that as I'm building and the years go on, um, I've built a reputation not with anybody else, but say with my wife. That when I say to her, I like to build this boat, she knows I'm going to complete it. She knows it's not going to be unfinished and that I'm going to walk away or get bored, right? So I'm also building that um, reputation with her that she can count on my word when I say
Right.
it. Otherwise, that 32 footer, I mean, that's 5 years investment in that, and 50, 60, $70,000. I can't remember, a lot of money. Now she's not going to agree to that, without me having some past successes in this boat building.
Yeah. Wow. I know you said it was 32 feet in mahogany, but you said a sailing vessel, right? It was a sailboat, right?
What it is, and maybe some of your listeners will know, it's based on a Lake Union Dreamboat. So it's based on a 1920s design. It's a raised deck cruiser boat.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and so it has this raised deck forward where you sleep and your accommodation is, and then the back half of it has a big cover on. So it's just a big deck at the back where you can sit and chat with your friends and such.
So most of the boats, excuse me, that you've built are either human powered or wind powered, it sounds like maybe. But for a boat like that, that's that size, were you also instrumental in putting an engine in it, or did you do that work, or how did that all fall into place?
Very good question. The 21-foot runabout that I built uses a motor in a motor well. They put an outboard motor in a motor well, so that means you
Yep.
can't really see the outboard. But
Mhm.
it's the motor. The boat is powered by an outboard motor, which is beneficial for a number of reasons. One is you have better control because you can turn instead of having a shaft and a prop. You can turn the prop, so you get better control over it. Secondly, if your engine gives up the ghost on you, they just pull it out, they lift it out and pull it out and move it into the shop. It's easy to do, right? So,
Right,
anyways,
right.
yeah, the big boat, I adopted that exact the engine in the motor well. It has a very small motor. It only has a 60 horsepower outboard, but it's concealed in its engine well, and you can hardly tell that it's there.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds so it wasn't an inboard engine in the sense that like a diesel, Yanmar or something. It was, yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it.
The
Huh,
boat industry,
interesting.
you'll notice the boat industry has moved away from the inboard motor almost completely. These large 25, 28-foot power boats, they all have three engines that stick out the back now.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
That's
Yeah.
that's
I
just
wonder
because
why
it's
that
so
is.
much
Just
easier for mechanics to get in there and fix it or maintain it than it is to be down inside some greasy well. You know, you twist it all out of shape,
yeah.
hanging up and down. So that's uh, but yes, for my 32 footer, it has a 60 horsepower. It was only ever designed to go 8 knots, 7 or 8 knots. It's just a slow moving cruising boat. I guess back in the
Yeah.
20s, I guess they did have big engines if you were racing in that. Um,
Right.
but no,
Well, it
this
sounds.
boat was built specifically for cruising in the Trent Severn waterway, where I think that
Hmm.
the speed limit is about 4 knots. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Did you keep that boat or did you end up I mean and actually on since I'm bringing that up, did you I'm assuming you must have I don't know, how many did you keep and how many did you sell, I guess, or did you sell any of them?
no, I keep adding on storage sheds. So I have probably 20 boats now, something like that. Um, I can't remember what I did with them. Moved. Uh, yeah, it's just been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I know
Would you
I've
be
sold.
willing to sell any of
Um, I'm going to give that some thought. I don't think I need them all. I would like to enjoy them all a little bit more. I'm not in a panic to sell any right now, but um, I still don't, I'll have to get back to you on that.
if you had to pick one, what would have been the your most favorite build of all the boats that you've done? Does anything come, fresh to mind?
Uh, I would have to go with the 32-foot mahogany cruiser. Uh,
Yeah.
it it has become and will become more than just a showpiece. It's a culmination. It's a lifelong culmination of the skills and the time, the commitment, and the enjoyment, and the
Yeah.
fact that you can take out five, six, seven people at a time and have enjoyment with but with the little canoe, it's just a one person at a time.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
without a doubt, the 32-foot mahogany cruiser. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy every single one of them. They, like I say, they all have different personalities, and they all have different things that I would use them for.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's really neat that you have all those different kinds of vessels that, like you said, they all are designed for different purposes. And, and you live in I believe, the Pacific Northwest where there's all sorts of wonderful water to explore. And yeah, I just can imagine that must just be a really a neat place to be doing what you're doing.
Yes,
Um,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So before we close, I just want to give you an opportunity to either, talk about something else that perhaps we didn't cover that you'd like to cover. And also, I don't know if you are a big social media or a website person, but I want to also give you an opportunity to let people know if they wanted to reach out to you, maybe with questions or advice or anything, if you would want to share anything like that.
Um, yes, I'm happy to give out my email. I think you've got that, so I'm happy to if you want to distribute that. People have some
Sure, I
questions.
can do that. I'll
Yeah,
put it in the show notes.
yeah, I don't mind. Um, I don't have a website, but I do have a YouTube channel, and it's called The Traditional Sailor, all one word, and it
Okay.
it showcases it's very there might be some project building on there. It's a hodgepodge of things. um I haven't activated it. I haven't been active on it for the last few years for some personal reasons. but it would be nice to get
Yeah.
back to that. Um, so yeah, I think that I did make some notes uh, on work some work habits that I think I'd like to contribute if that's okay.
Oh, I would love that. That sounds fabulous.
Yeah,
Go for it.
okay. I pointed out number one is safety. That is always the number one work habit. Um, but something I try to do with epoxy, and I have a saying that goes, I work during the day and the epoxy works during the night. So I glue everything up at night and then let the epoxy cure, and then it's ready to go the next morning for me. Number three here, I keep an ongoing list of materials, and supplies that I need, so I'm not always going to the store every 5 minutes. Um, Number four uh, is has to do with planning and thinking through before I make any cuts at all. I have a visual of what it is that I want to end up with, and sometimes that involves making a detailed drawing of a joint or something like that. And oftentimes it's also a list of steps that I have to take. So I'm not trying to remember them. And I just refer back to, okay, do this, do that, do that, do that. So sometimes in operation, I'll have 10 or 12 steps to follow, right? Uh,
Right.
Number five here. So this pertains to larger projects. Let's say like the 32 footer. This was applicable on that. Um, uh, Before you fill your shop up with your hull, making this giant hull, I built as many of the subcomponents as I could, whether it be windows or the steering console or any number of small little subcomponents that I would fit into the hull after it's completed. So while I still
Wow.
have shop space, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that that's somebody that's an amateur probably maybe shouldn't be, or somebody that's not that experienced maybe shouldn't be taking on these larger projects. But that was one thing that I did that I'm glad I did. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, oh yes, here's one here. Uh, I make all sorts of marker notes on tools. Say, for example, my bandsaw. I write on my bandsaw in marker that it's 155 inches.
Oh,
Just so I have these small details and I don't have to spend time searching for it. I have a wrench in my drawer that has written on it table saw, in green tape.
yeah.
And so it's just all the little things that add up to save time. Um, uh, so
Yeah, that makes
those are a handful of work habits that I thought might come in handy for people. So I thought I'd write them.
yeah, I mean, that's I'm so glad that you included all that. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I built that big boat, like I say, it was the culmination uh, of a lot of a buildup of 30. This was 10 years ago I built it, so it was 30 years of things that I'd learned and establishing myself with my family members that said, yeah, okay, uh, we have faith in you, Steve, to take on this. We believe in you. And that
Yeah.
takes a lot. That takes a lot. It means a lot and it takes a lot. So
Yeah. So hopefully maybe one of your children or something will maybe carry on.
well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? My comment on
Yeah.
that is uh, we have and I'm sure you've heard of it, the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Show.
Oh,
Um,
I would love to go to that. Yes.
yeah, and that seems to grow in popularity every year. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure that everybody that attends it is a boat builder, but certainly an enthusiast.
Yes,
Of the enthusiasm
absolutely.
for it. But where I am, I've had my shop for 30 years, and so we have a little bit of an expensive land property value problem right now.
Yes.
Yes, and I was
Crazy.
fortunate to have a home and a shop and all that. And now the younger people, they're still struggling just to afford a home, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic and conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just say that the model, okay, uh, that I had to, have a home and a shop to build these boats. Maybe the young people that want to do that just need a different model, and that could be something like a group of them rent a space and all build, 5 or 6 of these, say a scamp or something like that. Maybe that's the model that we're moving towards these days. I don't know. So
Yeah, no, that sounds like it would be a really, I would love to do something like that. You mean where they would share in the build process together or just share the building
yeah,
itself together and work in their own
yeah, exactly.
projects?
They would come out at the end with 5 or 6 of, say, the scamp boat would be a perfect little boat.
Yeah.
And they all get, whether it's a kit or they all cut the lumber and buy the materials together, um, and maybe find a place to store them if they're living in an apartment somewhere. But these are,
Yeah.
this is just what I mean. It really boils down to, if you really want to do it, how is it that you want to spend your life and look back on, and I made my decisions and my choices, and I have absolutely no regrets. Yes, I gave up a lot of time with family and friends, but I am now in a position to enjoy it. Like I say, I swing open the door, and who wants to come out and play today? And that's so that's
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I am just really so tickled to have had the opportunity to chat with you about this. I
Well,
really am so grateful.
well, thank you, and I just want to say it's just it's an honor to be able to give back a little bit, um, to something that has given me a lifetime of enjoyment and pleasure and satisfaction. And so I
Absolutely.
hope that your listeners can get something from our conversation. And like I say, if they have some questions, um, I'm more than happy to try and help them out.
Okay,
Thank
have a great rest of your day and thank you so so much again. I'm just again so grateful.
you. You're very welcome.
If you are enjoying my podcasts, please consider following and or subscribing to my show. Your support truly means the world to me, as well as inspires me to keep bringing you stories from others out there with a passion for getting out on the water. Until next time, fair wind.